news is the rating has come out for this game that Shado Sanders made his debut in, and some people are like, it was 3 times higher for the Hall of Nielsen. The Sporting News on X, 2.2 million people tuned in to see Sanders play for the Browns against the Carolina Panthers last week.
You know, so a lot of people want to see me fail, and it ain't gonna happen. You know, it ain't gonna happen.
The Cleveland Browns just saw something they haven't witnessed since George Bush Sr. was sitting in the White House, and every football fan across the country stopped what they were doing to watch it happen. This wasn't about a playoff chase or some fairy tale Super Bowl run. Nope. This was about something that should be routine for any solid franchise, but for Cleveland, it's been a straight up curse. A rookie quarterback actually winning his debut start. Hit that like button if you support Shado, and drop a comment saying Shado rocks if you want to see him keep stacking wins. Lock this date in forever, Browns fans. It's never leaving your team's history books. The opponent, the Las Vegas Raiders. The final score, 24-10. And the young gunslinger who finally snapped a curse that's been haunting Cleveland since the 90s.
Believe he only took 1 sack the entire game, which is a massive improvement when you think about last week against the Ravens and even the final preseason game. I mean, in the final preseason game against the Rams, he took 5 sacks in 17 plays.
None other than Shado Sanders, the 5th round steal who's been proving people wrong ever since he stepped into the league. To understand how unbelievable this moment really is, you gotta understand just how wild this drought was, because the Cleveland Browns hadn't seen a rookie quarterback win his first start since 1995. That's almost cartoon level ridiculous. Think about that year for a second. Windows 95 was brand new. People were still figuring out how email even worked. The Rock was out here wrestling in turtlenecks. LeBron wasn't even old enough to drive. And meanwhile, the Browns were about to walk straight into almost 30 years of quarterback chaos that turned them into the league's running joke. And the losing streak Shado just snapped? It wasn't just bad, it was unbelievable. 17 straight games where a Browns rookie QB walked onto that field and left with an L in their very first start. 17 different times, hope turned into misery before halftime. 17 reminders that this franchise could not solve the one position that matters more than anything in football.
I felt that this was the best possible performance that we could have seen from Shado Sanders, which is to say, I was not anticipating Shado was going to go out here and throw 400 yards and get 4 touchdowns.
This wasn't a rough stretch. This wasn't some unlucky chapter. This was a full organizational meltdown that became meme material, late night comedy material, and a warning sign for every team in the league about what happens when your quarterback situation is a complete mess. And the list of quarterbacks who kept that streak alive? It reads like a hall of shame. Top picks who fizzled out faster than a cheap sparkler. Veterans brought in as temporary fixes, who ended up leading the team straight into walls. Developmental guys who flashed for half a game before reality hit them like a truck. But they all shared one thing in common. They lost their first start in orange and brown and added another chapter to Cleveland's never-ending quarterback nightmare until Shado Sanders showed up and said, "Not on my watch." And look at the protection he got in this game. He only took 1 sack the entire night, which is wild when you remember what happened the week before against the Ravens and even the final preseason game. In that preseason game against the Rams, he got dragged down 5 times in just 17 plays. That makes what he did in this debut even more impressive.
I felt that this was the best possible performance that we could have seen from Shado Sanders, which is to say, I was not anticipating Shado was going to go out here and throw 400 yards and get 4 touchdowns.
But the situation around Shado's first real NFL start might be the craziest part of the whole story, because he wasn't even supposed to be playing yet. The plan was simple. Let him sit back, learn the playbook, watch from the sideline, get used to the speed of the league, and take over later. But football doesn't care about plans. The starter went down with an injury, and suddenly, boom, the 5th round rookie who'd been catching attention all preseason had to step into a real game with real pressure. Most rookies would have folded instantly. Most 5th round picks would have been overwhelmed trying to keep an NFL offense running with real stakes on the line. But Shado Sanders is different, and everything he showed against the Raiders proved he's built for the big moments. 11 completions on 20 attempts, 209 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Those are legit numbers for any quarterback, let alone a rookie stepping into his first real start on short notice. But here's the thing, the stats don't even tell the full story. They don't capture the swagger he played with, the calm in the pocket, the confidence he showed from the moment he stepped on the field. This wasn't some nervous rookie trying not to mess up and praying the defense would bail him out. This was a young quarterback who understood the moment, took control of it, and delivered when his team needed him the most.
Running away from it is Sanders. He's looking long. He's got a man caught at the 10-yard line. Bonds. He's down to the 1-yard line.
The way he stayed calm in that pocket was straight ice cold, and every throw came out with perfect timing. His leadership energy was off the charts, the type of presence that makes a whole huddle sit up and lock in. Everything about the way he played screamed, "I'm built for this." Even though he got thrown into the lineup way earlier than anyone planned, he stepped in like he'd been waiting for this moment since day one. And that deep shot to Isaiah Bond, pure cinema. A 52-yard bomb down the field, dropping right between defenders like he was playing Madden on rookie settings. He placed that ball in the bucket so clean it looked scripted. That wasn't a quick check down. That wasn't some play action trick to hide a nervous rookie. That was a quarterback showing he can hit every level of the field and flip a game with one swing of his arm. That's the kind of throw people expect out of first-round talent. And here comes a 5th-round pick from Cleveland doing it in his very first start. Chef's kiss, for real. And the touchdown throw, even better. A 66-yard screen to Dylan Sampson that showed Shado can run the system the right way while still creating explosive plays that blow a game wide open. Screens look simple on TV, but anyone who knows football understands they're sneaky tough to execute. The timing has to be perfect. The QB has to sell the fake just right so defenders chase the wrong thing. The throw has to come out with the right speed, and then the back has to turn it into magic. Everything lined up beautifully on that play, giving Shado his first official regular season touchdown pass and putting points on the board exactly when Cleveland needed it most. Now let's talk about the slip-up, the interception. Every quarterback throws them. Mahomes has them. Josh Allen has them. Even Brady threw his share. What separates the real franchise guys from the ones who crumble is the response. Do you let one mistake turn into 3? Do you shrink and play scared? Or do you shake it off, study it, and come right back firing on the next possession? Shado clearly showed which category he belongs in. He kept throwing with confidence right after the pick, which is exactly what you want to see in a quarterback you're hoping can lead your team long term. And now, real talk. This Browns defense deserves a whole statue outside the stadium. 10 sacks. Let me say that again so nobody misses it. 10 sacks. That's straight video game defense. Myles Garrett was a nightmare in cleats, grabbing 3 sacks by himself and practically setting up camp in the Raiders' backfield all afternoon. The pressure never stopped, the execution was sharp, and Vegas looked completely lost trying to figure out Cleveland's blitz packages. This defensive beatdown took a ton of weight off Shado's shoulders, letting him manage the game instead of forcing him into hero mode. But here's what a lot of people overlook. When your defense dominates like that, the offense still has a job. You still gotta get first downs. You still gotta put points up. You still gotta protect the football so you're not giving the other team gifts. Shado checked every single one of those boxes, which is exactly what you want from a rookie QB in his very first start. Nobody expected him to come out throwing 500 yards and 6 touchdowns, but what he delivered was exactly what Cleveland needed. The mission for Shado was simple. Play smart, follow the game plan, make the right plays, and protect the football. And he checked every single box with confidence. But what's even crazier is how the numbers behind his name are already telling a story that goes way beyond football. His preseason matchup against Carolina pulled in over 2.2 million viewers, making it the most watched preseason game on NFL Network in almost 10 years. That's not just good, that's wild for a preseason game that literally meant nothing in the standings. People weren't watching for Carolina. They weren't watching for the Browns. They were watching for Shado Sanders. That's the kind of star power the NFL loves, and it's the kind of spotlight most rookies don't even sniff. And even though the exact viewership for his real debut against the Raiders hasn't dropped yet, the hype alone shows it was a major TV moment with everyone locked in just to see how Shado would handle the pressure. This was supposed to be a low-energy early season game, the type nobody circles on the calendar. But the moment Shado was named the starter, it instantly turned into a must-watch event that had fans across the country tuned in. That doesn't happen with normal rookies. That happens with stars. And you can't talk about Shado without talking about his father. Deion Primetime Sanders, one of the loudest, flashiest, and most iconic athletes America has ever produced. This man didn't just play 2 sports at the highest level, he built a whole identity around excellence and swagger. He became a brand before athletes even knew how to become brands. And that type of legacy, that name, that spotlight, it all flows straight to Shado, and it gives the NFL a marketing dream. Think about how rare this is. Most 5th-round picks barely get a camera pointed at them. They get a little local media attention and that's it. Nobody across the country cares what they're doing in training camp or whether they'll even make the roster. But Shado Sanders, the whole nation is watching him like he's a top 5 draft pick. He's not just another rookie, he's must-see football. He's a storyline casual fans actually want updates on. He's someone who moves attention and excitement in ways almost no 5th-rounder in history ever has. And let's talk business, because Shado succeeding in Cleveland is a financial goldmine. The Browns have been clowned for years. Their QB carousel got laughed at on every sports show. Their struggles turned into memes, punchlines, and sad documentaries. But now, the energy around Cleveland feels completely different. They finally have something exciting, a young quarterback with a famous name who can actually ball out on Sundays. And you better believe that changes everything for the franchise. Jersey sales about to skyrocket. You mix Shado's personal brand with Cleveland fans desperate for a quarterback they can believe in, and you get a whole storm of hype the franchise hasn't seen in decades. People who haven't bought Browns gear in forever are suddenly ordering that number 12 jersey. Fans who checked out emotionally are slowly letting themselves dream again, and that excitement, that hope, that belief, it all brings real money right back into the organization. And the situation around Shado in Cleveland actually looks solid, which makes this story even better. The defense is stacked with talent and clearly capable of doing what they did to the Raiders. Pure domination. Myles Garrett is one of the best pass rushers alive, and having a force like that takes so much pressure off a young quarterback learning the ropes. The coaching staff clearly believes in Shado too. They're not handcuffing him or forcing him into a safe, boring, ultra-basic playbook. They're letting him actually operate the offense, make real reads, and control the flow of the game. And while the receiving group might not be the flashiest in the league, they've got enough skill to make things happen when the ball is thrown right. The chemistry that's already forming between Shado and Isaiah Bond is especially exciting. Bond, also a rookie in this game, showed major potential with that 52-yard connection, and watching 2 young players link up like that makes you wonder if Cleveland might be witnessing the start of something special. 2 young guys building chemistry early, 2 rookies who already look comfortable making explosive plays together. That's the type of duo that can grow into a dangerous combo over the next few years. When the chemistry between a quarterback and his receiver hits this clean, it becomes the kind of foundation that keeps defensive coordinators up at night. The way Shado managed the offense showed maturity way beyond a first-time starter. There were plenty of moments where he could have forced a risky throw or tried to make a hero play, but he stayed disciplined and made smart decisions about when to push the ball and when to just take whatever the defense left open. That type of game understanding usually takes rookies weeks or even months to figure out, but Shado looked like he had a natural instinct for situational football and understood exactly what his team needed at different moments of the game. And the reactions afterward, they told their own story. His teammates were genuinely hyped for him, celebrating in a way that showed real respect for what he pulled off in his first official start. The coaches praised him too, giving him credit while still reminding everyone there's a lot of development ahead. And the fans, man, Cleveland fans finally had something real to smile about. After years of heartbreak and misery, social media went wild. Fans who've been dragged through decades of losing were cautiously starting to feel hopeful again. National analysts suddenly had to rewrite their takes on both Shado and the Browns' future. Highlight clips were everywhere. Sports shows had hours of material to break down. Engagement numbers were huge, showing people actually cared about what this rookie just did on the big stage. But with all that energy comes pressure, and the pressure on Shado from this point on is going to be intense. One good game doesn't guarantee anything in the NFL. Defenses are going to dig into the tape, study his reads, look for his habits, and come at him with more complicated schemes designed to throw off a young quarterback. Now the challenge is proving this wasn't just a hot debut. Proving he can handle adversity when the game gets messy and the pocket starts collapsing. The business side of Shado's journey in Cleveland is just as interesting as the football side. His prime equity clause means he earns directly from merchandise, sponsorships, and promotional boosts tied to his name. Meanwhile, the Browns benefit from having a player who brings major attention, big ratings and rising revenue. It's a rare setup, a win-win situation where both sides are fully motivated to build up Shado's visibility and success. And if this arrangement works the way people think it will, it could be a whole new blueprint for how franchises handle rising stars. And trust, the national media wave around Shado is only going to get louder from here. Every game will be broken down frame by frame. Every throw will be graded. Every post-game comment will get analyzed. That's just the reality of being a high-profile quarterback in today's NFL, especially one with a legendary last name and record-setting viewership numbers before he's even settled in. How Shado handles all that constant attention while staying locked in on preparation, growth, and performance is going to be a huge part of whether he succeeds long-term. The comparisons to his father are already popping up, and while they're predictable, they're also unfair. Deion Sanders played a completely different position in a completely different era with a completely different style. Trying to measure Shado against his father's accomplishments doesn't even make sense. They're doing totally different jobs on the field, but people love comparing famous sports families, so the talk is unavoidable. The key for Shado is to respect his father's legendary legacy while also making it clear he's building something of his own, something separate, something real, something that stands on its own strength. And the support system around Shado looks rock solid. He's got access to his father's wisdom, decades of experience at the highest level, and he's got people around him who understand the pressure that comes with the spotlight. That type of foundation can keep a young quarterback grounded when the noise gets heavy and the expectations start climbing. Shado's situation in Cleveland is as solid as it gets for a young quarterback. He's got coaches who genuinely trust him and aren't scared to hand him the keys to the offense. He's got teammates who respect the way he prepares and the leadership he brings when it's time to lock in. And he's got an entire organization hungry for real quarterback stability, ready to invest in his growth and finally build something consistent around him. The game film from the Raiders matchup is going to get studied from top to bottom by Shado and the coaching staff. They'll celebrate the moments where everything clicked perfectly, but they'll also take a hard look at the mistakes, the decisions that need tightening, and the little details that can be sharpened. Development at quarterback never stops. Not in this league. The best players are the ones who stay hungry, stay working, and stay committed to leveling up even after strong performances. And here's where things get real. The entire Browns season could shift if Shado keeps playing at this level. A team most people wrote off as rebuilding suddenly becomes a whole lot more interesting once you plug in a legit quarterback who can actually move the offense and finish drives. When the QB spot is solid, everything changes. Playoff dreams that felt unrealistic start looking possible if the offense can stay consistent and keep putting points on the board. This is what happens when you finally solve the quarterback problem. The outlook of the entire franchise flips. And right now, after years of wandering through frustration and chaos, Cleveland might finally be looking at their answer under center. The curse is broken, the losing streak is done, and a brand new chapter is officially underway. This is the Shado Sanders era in Cleveland, and the whole league is about to find out what that really means. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to keep riding with the story, make sure you like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss what comes next.